there's no sugarcoating it. Tonight's a tough night. Tonight's a tough night for the movement overall. Well, you know, yes and no. You know, obviously tonight's a tough night electorally. If you are looking a little bit deeper beyond the polls in terms of what this means for the movement at large, I think that there's a lot of information that we have here that we can kind of glean from. Older voters, which we know are much more reliable voters, which turn out, have decisively gone to former Vice President Biden. And I say that, you know, first of all, if you win a race, you win a race. And I congratulate Vice President Biden on the states that he won this evening. First of all, I don't think it's appropriate to dismiss older voters. We don't blame voters, we don't dismiss voters, and we don't think of people as disposable. No matter how old you are, no matter what state you live in, your vote matters, and it's something that we should fight for, and we should fight for every community and every vote. And so what this tells me is that from a movement, so there's like the electoral perspective and there's the movement perspective. And I think this is something that's really important that we talk about, because electoral politics can be movement based, but movements aren't necessarily electoral in nature either. And something that we know is that young people are overwhelmingly, our politics have overwhelmingly been shifted by movements. Whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's the movement for Medicare for All, whether it's a wide variety of movements. There's a lot of information that we're seeing here. And while people say, okay, well, it fell short tonight, young people don't vote, it doesn't matter, as I'm seeing here, it does matter for the time to come. People get better at learning to vote over time. People get better at voting their values over time. But a lot of generations politically do get defined for quite some time. And it seems like our generation has a streak of progressivism in it that doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. A lot of what we need to focus on, as always, as we have always needed to focus on, are the issues. The good news that we have tonight is that that's one area where we are winning. Exit poll after exit poll after exit poll that we have shown in many, many states, the vast majority of Democratic voters believe in Medicare for All. They believe in healthcare as a right. They believe in decisive action on climate change. And I think that in the long term, what is important is that we are winning on the issues, and we are winning over people's, we're winning over people on the most substantive reasons for voting. Now, one thing that I think is different this year is that defeating Trump 100%, understandably, is top of mind, number one priority for virtually every voter that we have seen in quite some time. The notion of electability and ideas of what people think will defeat Donald Trump is, as we have known, have been very decisive in shaping this primary. I think it has manifested sometimes in unhealthy ways. People talk about the role of sexism in our election. If you take these policy commitments aside, I think there's something to be said for whether people find women electable, whether people find certain things electable, and whether people feel like they find a progressive agenda more electable. We are seeing that manifest in a unique way this cycle, more so because of the destruction and the unique threat that Donald Trump represents. Even if you abhor these results, even if you are shocked and appalled and all of these things, it's really important to at least understand what is happening in front of you. And the better you can understand it, the more you can deconstruct it and then reverse engineer it and develop a plan to win over and over again. So I think that all of these things are really important to keep in mind. And the other thing to keep in mind is that if you are fighting for a progressive future, If you are fighting for everyday people, if you are fighting for working people, if you are fighting for healthcare as a right, there's a lot of folks out there that want you to be demoralized. There's a lot of folks out there that don't want you to vote. If you're feeling sad, if you're feeling down, let yourself feel that way. But the number one rule in politics, my opinion, and in organizing in general, is to never, ever, ever, ever let your heart turn black. You can't do it. We cannot afford to do that. There are too many people's hearts who are on the line. The worst thing we can do is to allow cynicism to guide our actions. That has never worked. It only makes you smaller. And what you need to do is keep your eyes on the prize, and at any given moment, figure out what actions we can take to make people's lives better. So anyways, pulling up some questions here.